Good morning. Today we are going to continue talking about lines. So last week, hopefully you remember, talked about parallel lines. And when we have parallel lines, they don't touch and we found out, have the same slope. So if we look at these sets of lines here, it's pretty obvious they are not parallel as they intersect. Okay. Now, because of these four angles formed, they are each right angles, so we know that these are sets of perpendicular lines. So to start off, we're going to, click the wrong button. We're going to try to come up with what our slopes are. So if we look here, this blue line here, it has a slope. It would be down 1 over 1. So rise over run, that's negative 1 over 1, or just a slope of negative 1. Meanwhile, the green one here, up 1, 2 over 2, 2 over 2 reduces to a slope of 1. Okay, so we go to the next one, this one, up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. So the slope would be 4 over 3. And meanwhile, the blue one, it's kind of maybe hard to figure out a point, but right here it goes nicely. So down 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So the blue one has a slope of negative 3 over 4. All right, on to the next one. Let's see, for blue this time it's up 1 over 2. And for green, let's see, if we go point to point, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 1, 2, 3. So negative 6 over 3, which would reduce to negative 2. Okay, for this next one, once again, blue up 1, 2 over 3. And green, if we go point to point, down 1, 2, 3 over 2. Now, down 3, negative 3 over 2. Just want to point out, if that negative is on the bottom or in the front, it's the same thing, negative 3 over 2 or negative 3 over 2 or negative 3 over 2, no matter what. So you might notice on these perpendicular lines, there's a couple patterns we can see. So if we zoom out and look, we have 1, negative 1, 4/3, and negative 3/4, 1/2, and negative 2, and 2/3, and negative 3/2. Hopefully you notice there's always one positive, one negative. Okay, so positive and a negative. They are opposites. There's also what we would call the reciprocal. Do you see how this is 4/3? That becomes 3/4. 1/2 becomes 2 over 1, or just 2. 2/3 becomes 3 over 2, and 1 over 1 becomes 1 over 1. Okay? So they are known as opposite reciprocals. So if we practice here, finding the opposite reciprocal, remember this is technically 2 over 1, so the opposite is negative, and the reciprocal would be 1/2. Opposite of 9 is negative, reciprocal 1/9. Positive and 1 over 2 becomes 2. Negative 4, the opposite reciprocal would be positive 1/4. Opposite of negative 2/3 would be positive 3 over 2. Negative 5/3. 1 is probably the most difficult. It's just going to be negative 1. The reciprocal of 1 is still 1. Then for the next one, plus 1/2, plus 5/4, minus 1/7, and plus 1/3. And our final one then, minus 1/4. All right. So a key thing to remember, we're doing the same thing we did last week. If it's parallel lines, we know they have the same slope. So when it's perpendicular, remember, it's opposite reciprocal. So we look here, it asks us to write the equation line that passes through the point 2, 0 and is perpendicular to this line. So first thing we want to do, let's find the slope. So m equals negative 2. And if we were finding a line that was parallel, the slope of that parallel line would be exactly the same, it'd be negative 2. But we're not. We're finding one that's perpendicular. So I'm going to do m perpendicular. The opposite reciprocal of negative 2 is going to be positive 1/2. At this point, we just set it up, y minus whatever y1 is, which is right here. So y minus 0 equals that 1/2 times x minus 2. Y equals 1/2 x. Okay, now in red here I'm going to do, if we have 1/2 times -2, technically that's over 1. Multiply 1 times -2, it's -2. 2 times 1 is 2, that reduces to -1. And we are done right here. So on to the next one. Same exact point, perpendicular, this time a different line though. So once again, the initial slope is 1/2. If we were supposed to find the parallel one, it'd be the same thing, 1/2. But we're finding perpendicular, so opposite reciprocal becomes -2. Once again, y minus 0 equals -2 times x minus 2. And we will get y to equal -2x plus 4. On to our next one. Write the equation line that is perpendicular here, y equals -4x plus 1. And it goes to the point -4, 3. So the slope is -4. So our perpendicular slope will have to be 1/4. Remember, if it was parallel, it'd be the same, -4. Okay. So then y minus 3 equals 1/4 times x minus -4, which is the same as plus that 4. So we'll get y minus 3 equals 1/4 x plus 1. If you're not sure how we got that, 1/4 times 4. We'll get 4 over 4, which reduces to 1. All we got to do then is add 3 to both sides, and y equals 1/4 x plus 4. All right. Almost done. The final thing on your Delta Math today, it's either going to have one of two questions. So they're going to ask you to find a line that is parallel or perpendicular. Okay, so if it asked us to find one here that was parallel, first thing we want to do is establish what the slope of this line is. So right here, it's up 1 over 2, so I'm going to write the slope would be 1 over 2. So that means our parallel slope is also going to be 1 over 2. And all we would have to do is choose any point we want and make a line that has that slope. So up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, or down 1, left 2. And we are able to find a line, as you can see, that is parallel. And we're done. Now the other type of question, same thing, except what if it asks us to find one that's perpendicular? So here, down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 2, this one has a slope of -4 over 2, which reduces to -2. So for the perpendicular one, opposites makes it positive. Reciprocal, 1/2. So we choose wherever we want, and then go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, or down 1, left 2. And we draw in that line. As you can see, 4 right angles are formed, and we are done. So please get the Delta Math done. If you have any questions, let me know. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.